What if someone told you they could bend metal with their mind? Not with strength, but with thought. In the 1970s, one man made the world believe it was possible. Uri Geller, a mysterious figure from Israel, captured global attention by claiming he had real psychic powers. From bending spoons on live TV to working with intelligence agencies, Geller's journey blurred the line between science, illusion, and belief. Uri Geller was born in Tel Aviv in 1946. As a child, he claimed his first supernatural experience happened at age 5, when a spoon bent in his hand while he was eating. His mother believed he had inherited psychic powers, and Geller himself would never let go of that belief. But it wasn't until decades later that he became a global phenomenon. His rise to fame began in the early 1970s. At this time, interest in the paranormal was growing. People were fascinated by UFOs, telekinesis, and psychic abilities. Geller appeared at just the right moment. He began performing in Israel, showcasing his spoon bending, watch stopping, and thought reading tricks. His charisma and confidence made believers out of thousands. Geller's first major breakthrough came when he appeared on a British TV show called The David Dimbleby Talk-In in 1973. Live on air, he bent spoons, made watches stop, and guest drawings made in sealed envelopes. The audience was stunned. Phone lines were flooded with viewers claiming their own watches had stopped or spoons had been at home. Geller had tapped into something powerful, the public's curiosity and wonder. Later that year, Geller was invited to The Tonight Show, hosted by Johnny Carson in the US. But this time, the outcome was different. Carson, a former magician, was skeptical. With help from fellow skeptic James Randi, the show prepared its own spoons and objects, making sure Geller couldn't switch them or prepare in advance. When the cameras rolled, Geller froze. He couldn't perform. He later said he felt pressured and was not in the right mental state. That appearance planted the first seeds of doubt, but it didn't stop his momentum. In the same year, Geller was invited to the Stanford Research Institute in California. Scientists Harold Puthoff and Russell Targ were leading research on psychic phenomena, funded in part by the CIA during the Cold War. They wanted to know, could Uri Geller really do the impossible? For several days, Geller was tested under controlled conditions. One experiment involved placing objects in sealed containers. Geller was asked to identify them without seeing. Another required him to reproduce drawings that someone else made in a locked room. In one case, when a scientist drew a bunch of grapes, Geller sketched what looked like a bunch of grapes. The scientists were impressed and published a paper suggesting that Geller's abilities were, in their words, worthy of serious scientific consideration. Years later, declassified CIA documents confirmed that Geller had been part of government-funded research into psychic phenomena. These papers described how Geller had correctly described hidden drawings and objects under controlled experiments. While the tests were not airtight, the fact that a government agency even considered him worth studying elevated his reputation even further. Suddenly, he wasn't just a performer. He was a man of interest to world powers. As his fame grew, so did his list of strange collaborations. In the late 70s and early 80s, Geller claimed he worked with oil companies, helping them locate resources using only his mind. Though the exact results of these collaborations are unclear, Geller insisted he had helped locate oil in Mexico and minerals in South America. These stories added to the legend, a psychic not just on TV, but involved in high-stakes global work. But as Geller's fame soared, so did the skepticism. James Randi, the magician who had advised Carson, became Geller's most persistent critic. He demonstrated how Geller's feats could be replicated using sleight of hand and misdirection. Randi even published a book called The Truth About Uri Geller, accusing him of being a fraud. Geller sued Randi multiple times, but most cases were dismissed. By the 1980s, public interest in the paranormal began to decline. Geller continued to perform, but he shifted his image, distancing himself from being a performer of psychic feats, and instead branding himself as a motivational speaker, author, and consultant. He also reinvented his role in pop culture. In the late 1990s, Geller claimed to have inspired the Pokemon character Kadabra, a psychic creature that bends spoons. He even sued Nintendo for using his likeness without permission. though he later withdrew the case in 2020. So where is Uri Geller today? Now, in his late 70s, he lives in Israel, but remains active on social media and occasionally appears in interviews. He owns a bizarre museum called the Uri Geller Museum in Jaffa, where he displays a collection of oddities, including bent spoons and gifts from celebrities and politicians. He continues to claim that his powers are real. Whether he's demonstrating spoon bending or predicting the outcome of football matches, Geller insists that he's never been a fraud. To this day, opinions remain divided. Some see him as a pioneer of psychic exploration, a man who challenged science and belief. Others view him as a clever showman who knew how to work a crowd and a camera. But one thing is certain, Uri Geller knew how to create a story. Whether you believe in his powers or not, his rise, controversy, and legacy remain one of the most fascinating tales of the 20th century. He claimed to bend metal, read minds, and unlock the mysteries of the universe. Real or illusion, Uri Geller left his mark. And maybe that's the greatest power of all, making people believe.